link rot. And trust me, it is happening all the time, everywhere. Just think about this for a second. A study found that a staggering 38% of all web pages that were online in 2013 had completely disappeared by 2023. That's not just a small glitch, it's practically a built-in feature of the internet at this point.
So, what's the real story here? Is all this digital decay just random chaos? The internet's own version of, things falling apart over time? Or are companies actually making a conscious choice to pull the plug on their own content? As we're about to see, the answer is probably not what you're thinking.
All right, so first up, let's bust a huge myth. It's this idea that websites are constantly deleting old text articles just to save a few bucks on storage. I mean, it sounds logical, right? Less stuff means smaller bills. But when you actually crunch the numbers, that entire argument just completely falls apart.
Okay, first, let's just get a feel for the size we're talking about. Your average online article, with all its pictures and code and everything, comes in at about 2.5 megabytes. To put that in perspective, that's probably smaller than a single photo you snapped on your phone today. It's basically nothing.
And the cost to store that tiny file? Well, it's practically zero. I mean, look at that number. Using standard cloud storage prices, keeping that article online for a whole year costs less than 1/10 of a single penny. It's absurdly cheap.
And this really puts it all into focus. For a publisher to save just $1,000 a year in storage costs, they would have to find and delete 10,000 of their articles. For pretty much any website out there, the math just doesn't add up. The savings are tiny.
So that leads us to the big question, right? If it's not about saving money, then why on earth would a publisher go through the trouble of deleting their old text articles? There has to be something else going on. And there is. The real reasons are all strategic. It's about playing the game. By pruning old, low-traffic articles, companies can actually make their other pages rank higher on Google. One site even saw their clicks jump by 12% after a big cleanup. Plus, getting rid of old stuff can reduce the risk of having outdated or just plain wrong information floating around.
But you know what? That's only half the story. That's just for text. Now let's pivot to video and audio, because this is where the financial reality gets flipped completely on its head. If text is cheap, well, multimedia is anything but. I mean, just look at the difference in scale here. It's wild. A single 10-minute video in 4K is over 1,200 times bigger than that text article we were just talking about. We are not in the same ballpark anymore. We're not even playing the same sport. And with that kind of size comes a totally different cost structure.
And the real killer, the hidden cost, isn't storage. It's this thing called egress bandwidth. Now that sounds technical, but it's simple. It's the fee a company has to pay every single time one of us streams or downloads a file from their servers. It's the cost of data leaving them and coming to your screen.
Let's just put some real numbers on that. It might only cost, say, 14 cents to store a video file for a whole year. Pretty cheap, right? But if that same video gets just 10,000 views, the bandwidth bill can suddenly jump to $500. See? The cost isn't keeping the file on a shelf, it's in people actually looking at it.
And what happens when a video goes viral? Well, for a really popular video that hits 1 million views, the company could be looking at a bandwidth bill of over $50,000. All of a sudden, your greatest success becomes your biggest expense. This is the real economic pressure that leads to videos getting deleted. The difference is just stark when you look at it year over year. A big website with tons of articles might cost around 10 grand a year to keep online. But a site with just 1,000 videos? That cost can easily balloon to over $66,000. We're talking 6, maybe even 10 times more expensive, and that difference is almost entirely driven by bandwidth.
Okay, so we get the business side of things. It's expensive. But what does this all mean for us, for our digital culture? Well, there's a much bigger and kind of scary consequence to all of this that we don't often see. You've probably heard of the Internet Archive and their Wayback Machine, right? It's basically our #1 tool for preserving the history of the web. But here's the catch, and it's a direct quote from them. Because of the huge file sizes and all the technical hurdles, they simply cannot reliably save most video and audio content.
And that's the really chilling part. The exact same economic forces that make video so expensive to host also make it nearly impossible to properly archive. What that means is that a huge piece of our modern culture, our video and audio history, is incredibly fragile. It's far more likely to be lost forever than a simple text article.
But look, it doesn't have to be all doom and gloom.
Just hitting the delete button is a pretty blunt and destructive way to solve a problem. The truth is, there are much smarter ways to manage this stuff. Strategies that can balance costs, keep users happy, and preserve our digital history. So what's the solution? Well, it's a smarter, tiered strategy. First, if you absolutely have to delete a page, use a redirect. That way you don't break the internet for everyone else. Second, you tier your content. Keep the popular, evergreen videos ready to go, but move the older, less watched stuff to cheaper cold storage. That alone can slash costs by 80%. And finally, you just do some basic housekeeping. Regularly audit your site and fix the broken links.
And the best part is, we know this strategy works. A recent report showed that publishers who do this kind of smart management cut their hosting costs by a whopping 22%. And the trade-off? They only lost a tiny 3% of their page views, so you absolutely can save money without torching your archive and annoying your audience.
So when you boil it all down, what's the takeaway? That 404 error isn't just a minor annoyance. It's really a symptom of a much bigger economic and cultural puzzle. But as we've seen, it's not inevitable. It's not just the cost of doing business. It's a missed opportunity. A missed opportunity to serve an audience, to preserve our history, and ultimately, to build a better, more resilient web for everyone.